Hey everybody, thank you for being here and being on time. We're going to give just a few more minutes for some folks to trickle in. I know some folks who are planning to be here aren't here yet, so thanks for your patience. I promise I'll be quick once we start. It's a lot of illustrating. I don't know how he's doing it. This is her first year, so look at you totally on time. Like you're still waiting for people. Look at you. You're awesome. Yes. Seriously? are still trickling in. There are so many meetings like this. At this time of year, I really appreciate you coming in to make this happen today. So, let me see if this works. If you hear my voice, say one. Nice, okay. So I'm going to do my best to make this as quick as possible, just to set expectations for what's going to happen today. This should last about an hour. I'm going to try to do 40 minutes of letting you know all the info, and then we'll have about 20 minutes for questions. So that's what to expect. My name is Adam. I'm Coach Adam. I'm the head coach of Odyssey of the Mind. I've been doing this for 4 years, and as a head coach for 3 years. And I have a daughter named Abby, who's in 5th grade, who's been an OMer as long as I have. Yep. And I actually did Odyssey of the Mind when I was a kid as well. So I love this program. It means a lot to me. It's a big part of, it's something that I get to share with my daughter, and I love that about it. And I love seeing all these kids grow and change over the course of the year, and then year after year. It's incredibly rewarding, and so that's why I do what I do. So, what is Odyssey of the Mind? This one's really for the folks who are new, so the rest of you bear with me. There's goodies all the way through for you. But Odyssey of the Mind is a creative problem-solving competition. What that means is we have teams of 5 to 7 kids who work together with a coach or 2 coaches all season long on a long-term problem. And that long-term problem is essentially an opportunity to be creative and put together a show, a presentation, with some constraints. Because when you add constraints, you sort of unleash creativity. And that's kind of the idea behind it. When we go to competition, it is a problem-solving competition. It's international. It's worldwide. When we go to competition, we're competing with those long-term problems that we work all season on, and we're also competing with spontaneous problems, which are a 5-minute challenge that's either hands-on or it's verbal, that the kids are given and they don't even know before they walk in the door. They have to complete it, and they're graded or scored on that. And finally, that competition, we're divided up. So we have different divisions for different age groups. We have a primary group, and primary is 1st and 2nd grade. Primary kids do a showcase. They don't compete, so when they go to our competition, they still participate like everybody else, but they don't compete. They don't get scored. They get to showcase their presentation. The second division is D1, Division 1, which is 3rd through 5th grade. We call it intermediate here. 3rd through 5th grade is Division 1. And then Division 2, our middle school division, is grades 6 through 8. And those 2 divisions compete at regional competition. Those that score in the top 2 or 3, depending on which problem, move on to state competition, and then some even go to world finals. We have had 4 out of the last 5 years. We've had at least 1 team from Corbett at world finals, so that is possible. But it's really a special experience, and all the way through, from regionals to state to world finals. It's just each one is their own independent experience. But the real value of Odyssey, the real fun for the kids in Odyssey, and the real value for their development is in the Odyssey. It's right in the word. It's in the journey. That 4, 5, 6 months that they spend working together with a team, learning how to work with that team, and sort of understanding how to put their creative energy towards actually producing something. That's the big thing. This is about the creative process. It's not just about being creative, which is amazing. It's not just about teamwork, which is amazing, but it's about how can you put those two things together to actually make something, put something up together just with your teammates. Okay, so I said we were separated by division, but we're also separated by problem. So we have a long-term problem, and each of these, you're only competing with other teams that are working on the same problem as you. So here at Corbett, only one team can work on each problem. If you're a primary, you'd be working on clowning around with science, all our primary kids, even if we have multiple teams, depending on how many kids apply, we'll all be doing clowning around with science. For the other ones, we can have up to a team in each problem for each division. So how many problems we will do will be dependent on how many kids apply, and most importantly, how many coaches we have, which we'll get into in a minute. So I want to talk for a minute about the categories of problems, and then we'll talk just a little bit about what the problems are. So every year, these are the same categories for these problems. So we have a vehicle problem, we have a technical problem, we have a classics problem, and we have a performance problem. There is also a structure problem. That's something that we've never done at Corbett. We don't have someone with that particular skill set in our program, but we're always open if there's a parent who's very excited about that particular project and wants to coach that team. I went ahead and stuck it up there because we're always wide open for that. So each of these problems is essentially the same thing. It's all solving a problem with constraints. But the difference is really in the nuance of the problems. So our vehicle problem every year involves building a vehicle of some sort, and of whatever sort they can imagine. There are some, I believe, well, one of our vehicles last year was a snail. So there's all sorts of, a space snail, let me be clear. A spaceship that was a snail. Yes. And named George, sorry, named George, let me get that right. The vehicle is a word that's in quotes, but it also has to actually perform as a vehicle. Some years, they need to ride on the vehicle, and some years, they don't need to ride on the vehicle. This year's problem, the vehicle is a train, and it needs to have cars. So that's interesting about that problem this year. Our second problem is the technical problem. And our technical problem each year is, well, it's a little difficult to describe, but essentially there is some piece of technology that has to perform specific tasks. Sometimes it's tricks, sometimes it needs to sort of complete like goals, things like that. It's integrated into a story sometimes, and with both our vehicle and our technical problem, the way that they're judged, there's a big portion of the judging that's whether it actually completes those tasks. So the vehicle has to complete some tasks. Sure, we'll allow the accessory to connect. I think that's this. Sometimes the vehicle has to complete the task, in technical, the device. In this year's technical problem, the piece of technology is actually a voice location assistant. So that's the technical problem. Our classics problem is around a classic work, and usually there's multiple ones to pick from, and they focus it around a real work, and they build a project inspired by or off of that. This year, it's an epic poem. So, poem. Anyway, it rhymes. So, maybe. So like the Odyssey, the Iliad, a big epic poem. And some of the kids, they learn about poetry. There's a unit in 5th grade. I think there are more extensive units. I think is it 7th grade that they do a big poetry workshop. So it's a part of school here, and this is an opportunity to create your own epic poem. And then finally, the performance problem is just that. It's about performance. So they're looking at how well they perform. It's writing. It usually requires a humorous element. So how is the comedy? And then how is your stage craft? How are you able to bring something to life in just a classroom, which is where we perform these? What sets, what special effects, all that kind of thing. So those are the problems. Oh, and this year, like I said, I didn't say, but this year our performance problem is tall tales. So yes, my daughter is very excited because she likes to tell tall tales. Okay. All right. Now my thing stopped working. So I told you what Odyssey is. Now I want to tell you what it isn't. Odyssey of the Mind is not a school program. Now, don't get me wrong, we get incredible support from the school. This program could not exist without the school, but more than that, the school lifts us up and helps us. They are partners with us every step of the way. But it is not a service that the school provides to the students. This is something that we, as parents, are getting together and giving to our kids, an experience that we're giving to our kids. That's what it is. I'm a volunteer. All our coaches are volunteers. So my job as the head coach is to think about how can I get the most number of OMers to have the best Odyssey experience they can for the year. That's what I'm thinking about the whole year long. And then each coach, who again is a volunteer, I just want to make it clear, put in a ton of time, and their focus is how can my 5 to 7 kids that I'm working with have the best Odyssey experience possible of this season. And then we have the parents, and parents have an incredible role in making that happen. So I alone can't do any of it. I can just dream about how great an Odyssey this would be for everything. With our coaches, we can work together to try to make it happen. But it really does not happen without parents playing their role. And since this is a parents' meeting, we're going to spend the majority, I should say, I didn't know where to stick it, but that's how much the program costs. So, so I just stuck it there. That gets us all the way through regional competition, which is the only sort of mandatory commitment. Beyond that, for state and world finals, there's incremental costs, and it's optional to be involved in it. So, we're going to talk about the parent's job, most of today. Your first job is to make Odyssey a priority. Your kids have lots of priorities. One of the things that's amazing about Corbett is you have a ton of opportunity to do all kinds of things. Odyssey is a big time commitment, and I want to explain for just... Kids, could you sit down for just a sec, please, so everybody can focus? Thank you. So, I feel every year like I'm constantly apologizing to the parents on my team for the amount of time we take to do this. So I wanted to just take a minute to explain why that is. In this program, kids are in charge. They're in charge of what we do, how we do it, what timetable we do it on. And I don't know if any of you have kids. I guess you do have kids since you're here. But executive function is something that happens over time. And a big part of what we're trying to do is teach the creative process, teach how to build that process. And part of that is that just things that would, in a regular classroom setting, would be a 3-hour thing. Okay, let's get together and we have this planned out curriculum and we get through it and we've created something. That's not the way Odyssey works. It's messy. It's back and forth. It takes time. Kids get frustrated. They overcome obstacles. And it just takes a long time because of that. So that's the reason it's such a big time commitment. The way that our practices work, we practice at Yost, the Yost House. We are in the Yost House. Last year we were moving around and then we ended up in the Yost House. This year we're starting out in the Yost House and we're finishing in the Yost House. It's our home. We share it, but it's our home. And I'm very happy about that. I think the kids, for the most part, are very happy about that too. It's their space. So after school, practice will either be one day a week. usually Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'll schedule them once I get all the applications in. But so each team will practice once a week, and they'll practice immediately after school, 3:10, and then how long the practice goes depends on what division they're in. So for my primary folks, it's an hour of practice. So from 3:10 to 4:10 once a week, starting in October. For the other two divisions, for my Division I kids, which is third through fifth grade, they are going to be doing 3:10 to 4:40. So they do a little more, an hour and a half of practice. And then our middle school kids do 3:10 to 5:10. So they do a full 2 hours. And that's once a week. And then you will pick up, this is an important thing because we're very pick my kitty here this year. I'm getting used to it. I'm sure you all are too. It's a great system, but getting used to it. So you pick up at the Yost House, which is, does everybody know where the Yost House is? No. Okay, so the Yost House is a little house all the way on the north side of campus. You know, the freshly paved parking lot. Immediately before the freshly paved parking lot is a little turn-in with a fence. That fence leads you to the Yost House. It's on campus. It's inside the fence of campus, but it's an actual house. Used to be owned by someone named Mrs. Yost. So that's why it's the Yost House.
Next to Drama Dance.
Next to Drama Dance, that's correct. And the awesome garden that's right in front of Drama Dance. So that's where it is. So you can understand how practice works. You can communicate when your kid is not able to get there or you have a question about something. Your coach is the direct point of contact, and I am always there to answer any questions that you have beyond things that the coach can answer, okay? And then finally, be on time. And this really, the biggest, when I say be on time, the most important be on time is be on time to pick your kids up. And when I say communicate, also, the most important one is your kid going to extended day afterwards? Is your kid, are you going to pick them up? Is somebody else going to pick them up? We need to know that information. Our coaches aren't employees for the most part. There are some teachers who volunteer, which is amazing, and they're volunteering too. But not all of us are that comfortable with the process of checkout and everything, so we need your help to just make sure you're communicating with your coach. Okay, we're getting through it, I promise. So, those dates. These are the key dates for Odyssey of the Mind this year. Go ahead and take a picture of this one. These are the dates of every bit of what we do. I'll just talk about them. We just talked about the practices. I didn't mention that starting in January, we do weekend practices, getting ready for our February competition. And that's scheduled with your individual coach based on your team's schedule and their schedule as a coach. So we'll figure that out as we go, but they'll be working with you we usually do 4 or 5 for the older kids and like 2, maybe 3 for the primary kids with that. Spontaneous workshop. We do a workshop here at the middle school in January where our whole program gets together and practices our spontaneous challenges that I was telling you about before. There's a parent showcase where you get to see these amazing presentations just before they get to put them on their feet here for you all to see them, and so they get a chance to present it before competition as a little practice. And that's an awesome night for our program. And then regional competition is Saturday, February 21st. That's an incredibly important day, and that's all day, regional competition. New this year, we're going to host a spontaneous workshop for the whole region on March 28th. So Michelle's looking at me like I'm crazy.
I think that's so fun.
Yeah, we're gonna host and this will be only for the folks from the Buck Bay region, which is our region, who are going to state and want a brush up before state. So we're going to host that here. It's a smaller group. There are 60 to 80 teams in the region, so it's a lot at regional competition. We couldn't host that here at our campus, but we can host the smaller group that's going to state, and our whole program will participate in putting that on. So even if your team doesn't move on from regionals, or you choose not to move on to state, you'll still have an opportunity to be involved in that process. Our kids will be participating in that. So that's new. I'm excited about that this year. And then finally, our state competition is on Saturday, April 4th. I am very sorry to announce that we are back to the day before Easter. Last year, we had one reprieve from the day before Easter. We're right back to it this year. So it's the day before Easter in Orlando. Okay, we're still on the parents' job. Sorry. Next is pitch in where we need help. And the most important thing that you can do here is snacks. So we will have a snack sign up. Snacks are an incredible... Yes?
Isn't that my sister's team?
It is your sister's team. That's exactly right. And your sister's right here. So we have a snack sign up. I know it sounds weird, but snacks are incredibly important to Odyssey of the Mind. They've been important from the beginning of the program 30 years ago. There's something about getting together as a team and being able to eat a great snack and then come up with some creative ideas that just, there's something about it. They go together. And so the way that we deal with that is we have a sign up, and we ask every parent participating to contribute to sign up to bring snacks at least one day during one practice, during the time that we're practicing. You can bring them up to the front, drop them off with Dawn, and she'll get them over with the kids when it's time for practice. And we do have a refrigerator over there and some storage space, so if there's overflow of snacks, we have a place to put them. Weekend practices, parents who are not coaches can participate and pitch in weekend practices. Ala, who was a coach last year, pitched in when I was coaching Adele, her daughter in primary. She pitched in, and Jimmy, her husband, pitched in on weekend practices to help out. So that's something that's super helpful to do. And then over the holidays, this is not a time commitment, it's more of an understanding commitment. Often your kids will come home with a big project for the holiday. Often you will be traveling. We will have taken that into consideration when we're figuring out what everybody's going to do. But just make space for them to be able to do whatever is in their task during your holiday. And then that goes for your house too. There are times when Odyssey of the Mind feels like a bomb went off. In Yost this last Sunday, we were just talking about how it looked like a bomb went off. Your house might look like that a couple times during the year as your kids get really excited about working on projects. Just make the space and time for that. And then this is the most confusing slide I have on my deck for those who haven't done Odyssey, and everyone who has done Odyssey knows why I have that there. There is a rule in Odyssey that is the most important thing about this program, and that is no outside assistance. What no outside assistance means is that the kids decide. The kids decide everything. They decide how they're going to approach the problem. Every idea must be the kids'. Every costume must be the kids' idea and the kids' physical execution. This goes down to the point where when it's a primary team and we need to use some duct tape, the kids need to rip the duct tape. Parents can't rip the duct tape and coaches can't rip the duct tape. It is the kids who do everything. Yes?
Yes, it is possible to rip duct tape.
We usually have for primary teams, we have a designated duct tape ripper, which Abby was her year for her team. But the point of this is that these kids don't have agency over much in their life. They don't get to decide when they go to bed. They don't get to decide what activities they do, what they can and can't do, but they have agency over this. So this is an incredible opportunity for them. If you are committed to the idea of no outside assistance, then you create an environment where kids grow confident. They take ownership over what they're doing. And at the end, when you see that presentation and 100% of it came from those kids, there's magic in that. And there's growth in that. And so we think that's the most important thing about Odyssey of the Mind here at Corbett. And it doesn't matter if every team that competes honors it as well as we do. We know that this is the most important thing about it. It's more important than a score. It's more important than anything else that we do. So it's the hardest for you as parents. When your kid is sitting there in tears with a hanger, I'm thinking actually about Abby a couple of years ago, with a hanger trying to figure out how to make a snake at that time, and just tears rolling down her face, and you just want to help. You cannot. You have to let them get through it. And this is incredibly important. We police it. We look at their costumes and ask them how they built them and everything. It's not for you to do. We don't get our adult OM. If we had an adult OM, you could go crazy with it. It would be a lot of fun, but we need to keep our hands behind our backs and close our mouth and let them get through it. That's the most important thing.
It was not a hanger. It was a piece of metal wire. And I poked my finger. That's why I was crying.
Okay.
Hey,
All right.
can I have one more thing?
Yes.
Just real quick? So that's not just like a Corbett rule or an Adam rule, because we want the best for our kids. It's also an OM rule. So when they go to competition, when they're being judged, if they think something has been done by a parent, and I know you're shocked, but oftentimes you can tell the difference between a 5-year-old's work and a parent's. They'll disqualify the whole item, which could be a huge scoring item, and sometimes a team. So it's a rule that Odyssey of the Mind takes really seriously as a whole.
That's a great point.
Sorry, to add on that, it goes for also like lifting, carrying stuff for them at competitions.
It's very precise, and
You have to totally be hands-on.
there's times when you can and there's times when you can't, and it's meticulously judged. Yes?
At state's competition, I was holding something with my foot because I was holding so much.
Because you had to carry it all by yourselves, right? And figure out how to carry it all by yourselves. Us as coaches, we can't set the order of how they put things together. We can't set the order of the way they bring things out. They have to figure all that out for them.
Since also goes what Yusuf said, when we were going to perform at states, I had a ladder on top, not a ladder, but like a stool on top of my head because I had so much other things in my hand.
I remember. And you got it done, right? 100%. You got it done on time. That's one other thing that I didn't mention about those performances. When they actually go to competition, they are timed. So this is an 8-minute presentation. And they have to set everything up and complete their presentation within 8 minutes. And they're timed, and they can either be docked or disqualified depending on which problem if they don't get through it in 8 minutes. Okay, last thing for the parent's job is you can level up, become a coach. So all our coaches are volunteers. Many of them were parents before they were coaches. Well, all of them are still parents, but but they were parents first. It's an incredibly rewarding experience. I don't want to lie to you. It's also a very taxing experience. There's time commitment, but that's manageable. You can schedule that. There's a lot of mental energy that goes into it. You're dealing with 5 to 7 kids, and you don't get to tell them what to do. They tell you, and you have to sort of bring them towards a solution without doing it for them. And it's very taxing to do that. And helping them build team dynamics and learn how to work together and all that kind of thing. It's also incredibly rewarding. I mean, the opportunity, I coach my own kid, not every coach does that, but the opportunity to share that experience of going through that with my child is an amazing experience. It's something that is irreplaceable for me. And the opportunity I've had to get to know some of these other kids so well, see them grow over the years. It's just, when you're a coach and you have a team, those kids know you for the rest of the time they're here. And, you know, kids who, Sophia was on my primary team and we were hanging out today. You know, years ago when she was in second grade and you walk through the campus and all those kids know your name and you know their name and you see them grow up. And it's an amazing experience. So, but it is also taxing. If you're interested in the idea of coaching, reach out to me and we'll talk about it. I'll explain everything there is to it, give you a good picture before you make a decision, but I really would encourage anyone who is thinking about it, who's open to the possibility, to give it a try. Also, we're in search of a school coordinator. Our amazing school coordinator, Margaret Andrade, is no longer with us at this campus. Let's be really clear. She's doing awesome, and so is her whole family, but she's not here. And so that means that right now I'm doing all of that, which is really the coordinating the snack sign up, the coordinating all our stuff for regional planning, what stuff to bring and all that kind of thing, plus signing us up for the national and the regional. She did amazing work, but it's very much computer work. So if you want to help and you're not sure about the whole idea of coaching or volunteering, that might be a good opportunity for you. Again, reach out to me about that. And then finally, if you have a way to level up our program, this is our program. It's not mine, it's not the coaches, it's our program. So if you have an idea, bring it to me. We are wide open for those kind of things, other things that we can do together. This is our theme for the year. Just in case you didn't notice, this is a can eating a biscuit. I love ChatGPT. But so essentially, why is there a can eating a biscuit when I said our theme for this year? Because these are the two words that I've been thinking about all summer long. Go ahead. Well, since you know them already, let me let Rhea guess and then you can tell us. Go ahead.
I got one. Snacks.
I mean, that's why I wrote the picture like that. We'll go from there. Go ahead. You can go ahead. Good guess. You can say both of them.
Brisket for the biscuit and we can.
Yeah.
Corbett can.
Corbett can. Yes. I've been thinking about can a lot because, and I've been thinking about risk a lot. You know, Bruce Arians was our coach. We went to the Super Bowl for the Bucks, and his big thing was no risk it, no biscuit. And so I just had to kind of add a little Tampa connection, and then I've been thinking about can. And the reason is, what I am really focused on this year is risk-taking. You know, we really prize risk-taking here at Corbett. It's part of the IB curriculum that we teach. But one thing that I noticed when I was at our state competition last year was the kids that were the most successful and the most rewarded by the experience, both things, because both are important, were the kids that really took risks with their choices, with their creative choices. And I am focused this year, and I'm hoping that all our coaches will be focused this year on encouraging that risk-taking. And I asked Suzanne, who used to do what I do and has moved on to high school, but she used to do what I do. I asked her about this, and I was telling her about this, and she said, you know, I think the best way to encourage risk-taking with kids is at the beginning of the season, just have them go big. Just have them think as hard as they can about the biggest thing they could possibly imagine they don't have any idea how to do. Think big early. And I was like, wow, that sounds like a fun brainstorm to me. And so I'm embracing that mentality this year. I'm encouraging our kids to be risk takers, and I think it's really important. And the can, and that's a biscuit, by the way, you know. It's like a British biscuit, I guess. But anyway, you know, the cookie kind of biscuit, not the, yeah.
Ritz crackers.
It does look like a Ritz cracker. So the can is, well, all kinds of things. But ultimately, we use a lot of cans. But really what I want to encourage the kids to do, it's a OM saying, it's an Odyssey of the mind saying, that if it doesn't say you can't, then you can. I started by talking about our limitations. And we've got a lot of limitations. That's part of what makes it creative. But the idea of the limitations is, that's it. Those are your limitations. As long as it's not in the program guide or in the problem as a limitation, you can do it. You can do anything. You can do it. So that's why they can. Thank you for indulging me. As you can see we're about at the end. And this is the application. So applications are available now. This QR code goes to the application. This is also the URL, so you can take a picture of it.
For some reason.
Okay, it's been deactivated? Okay, can somebody type in that URL and make sure that works? Sweet. Thank you, Diana. That was the one thing as I was doing this PowerPoint like an hour before I got here, I was like, make sure to test all the QR codes. I didn't.
Yep, the URL.
Okay, so the link works. Take a picture. As soon as I'm done, before we do questions, I'll just quickly create another one and generate it so you guys can take a picture of that. But I don't want to do it right now. I just want to go through these things real quick. I want to talk about what's new on the application this year because there are some really new things this year. And then we'll wrap up and I'll get a new QR code for you. But that link does work. That is the application. So, most important thing about applications is they're due on Tuesday, September 4th. So, now is the time to get those in. 9 p.m. on the 4th, I get to see what our season's going to look like. And the nice thing about Odyssey of the Mind is it can be one team. It could be, we had 7 teams last year, 42 kids, which is awesome. But it's also awesome with one team. So it's really the kids who are committed, who want to do it, who love it. We're going to do everything we can to make sure they can do it. And so what my limitations are for that are kids who apply and how many coaches that we have. So when I see all that together, I'll be able to figure it out. But that is the deadline. So this year it's divided into 3 sections. Usually it's just one big application, but this year I have a parent section, which is contacts and logistics, and I need my parents to fill that out, unless they're middle schoolers, they can do that. But, and then the second section is just for the students. And if your student is a little young to be typing their answers themselves, that's totally okay. The parent can participate in that by interviewing them and typing the stuff up, by having them write out their answers and typing it, or just by helping them. But I really want those answers to be the kids. I know that some of their answers are going to be bizarre or make you uncomfortable. It's okay. It's confidential stuff. Let them share what they want to share, and so we can put them in the best place for them. Okay? And then the final section is for both the parent and the student to look at together. That's about the commitment, whether we're ready to go, and an opportunity for you to share anything that you want to share about your schedule. This year we're rating our problems. So we've never really let the kids decide, what problems they like better or which ones that they're less interested in. This year we're trying something. Now that does not mean they're going to get their highest rated problem. I want to be really clear about that. It's clear on the application. I want that information, and they can give all the problems 5 stars. That's perfectly fine. But if there's one they're especially interested in, I want to know. It doesn't mean that they'll get it, but it does matter to me, and it does matter to the process. And then there's an opportunity for the kids who are returning OMers to share their goals for the season. If there's something that matters to them that they want to accomplish this year, I really want to learn to sew this year, or I really want to be with, anything that they can think of that they want to share with me. Again, I don't base my teams on that. I base it, and we'll talk about what I base it on, but it matters. It does factor in. Yes?
I can teach you how to sew.
You can teach me how to sew? Awesome. Awesome. I have 2 people who can sew better than me in my house. So, But can you show what you so Isa came to help me at Yoast on Sunday, and there were a couple scraps. She was cleaning. We had a whole group of people. It was a lot of fun. We cleaned up a bunch of stuff. But Isa took home her scraps and she made herself a purse with it. Just 2 or 3 days. I love OM kids. All right.
Technically 1 day because I have to go to
Technically 1 day.
sleep though.
Oh, well, there you go. That's a good point. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Spontaneous problems for new folks. 1 sec. I'll get to you in 1 sec, okay? For spontaneous problems, for new kids, there is an opportunity to try some spontaneous problems. There's a link in there to do that. That is something, if you're not familiar with spontaneous problems, please try those out so your kid gets a sense of it. And then finally, there's a spot, like I said, for schedule considerations. Again, I can't schedule based on that, but I want the information. It does factor in, but what I am scheduling based on, and the teams will be announced on September 9th, if I can get through everything on time. Hopefully I will. How I pick the teams, this was a question last year, so I just wanted to address it this year. My priority is what I just said, the best Odyssey for the most OMers. Did I spell it right? Yes, it's the hardest word possible to spell. So how I pick the teams is coaches, coaches, coaches. How many coaches I have and when they can do it matters more than anything else. And some coaches need to be with their kid and some coaches need to not be with their kid. It's different for every family. So understanding how that works is the framework for our teams. Then I look at some of the information that experienced OMers have shared about their goals for the season. How they feel about the problems, what they're trying to accomplish this year. Experience counts, age does not. So age is important in life, but for this, it's how many years you've done OM, because it's how much understanding you have of what you're looking for, and so that's the reason that I sort of factor that in. Next is team dynamics. I'm looking to put together teams. Team dynamics is its own thing, and we put a lot of effort into it. If you have a bad team dynamic, it can really knock out the experience for 7 kids. And like I said, I'm focused on that experience. So we pay attention to team dynamics, might even talk to teachers, might talk to parents, all sorts of things. And then problem considerations, when kids factored in what their problem ranking is, that will factor in there, and then finally scheduling constraints. And that's it. That's my contact information. Let's just go ahead and check that QR code, see if it works. That's supposed to be our WhatsApp for, we communicate on WhatsApp through the whole season. What? Also deactivated. Okay. I'll fix both of those. Yes, you were waiting patiently.
She even made a bag for me.
Did you? Did you do that too? That's so cool. Super cool.
It was a mini though. So another thing for a rule for OM
Mm-hmm.
is whenever you have a budget. So if you're with your team, you don't if you need to go buy something, you don't have $1,000. You can't spend whatever you want. There's a specific budget. I don't remember what it was last year, but you don't have unlimited money to stay within that budget.
It's 140.
It depends on the problem. They're different. Each one's different, but that's a great point. There is a budget. That's part of the experience of learning to stay within a budget, use a budget, understand what things cost, all sorts of stuff like that. So that's part of the experience of doing OM. Okay, now I'm going to open it up, and I want to give parents a chance to ask any questions that they might have. Anyone have any questions? Sweet. That either means I did a really good job or you're all asleep. I think 50-50 on that. So let me go ahead and fix those 2 QR codes for you guys.
I have a question here.
Yes. Oh,
With
nice.
the problems, the only thing that I can tell is that what's primary, what's not primary, but what's division 1, division 2.
So they're all for both. So primary is its own problem. All the other problems are for both divisions. So last year we had a Division I Classics team and a Division II Classics team. They had the same problem and a completely different solution. One thing we never do at this school is have a Division I Classics team and another Division I Classics team, or something like that. We only have one team per division per problem. But we can have up to 4 teams doing, each doing one problem in Division I, and then same problems, Division II, we could have up to 4 teams, just depending on how many people apply.
Differences between D1 and D2?
D1 is, Division I is 3rd through 5th grade, Division II is 6th through 8th grade. Yes?
So you mentioned that they don't really get the problems they want, even if they vote, right?
Correct.
Students. So what if they end up with a problem? Have you experienced this with kids who would choose something that they didn't want to work with? For example, my son, I know he wouldn't be interested in anything related to poems and literature. So
Well,
what do you do in this situation?
so that is, so a couple things to think about. One is, it does matter what problems they want and what they share with me about how they feel. It does matter. But it doesn't exactly matter whether you're interested in poetry or not to have an amazing experience in the poetry one. And in fact, you're more likely to have an amazing experience in the poetry one if you can't stand poetry at the beginning. The problem is not about reading a bunch of poems. It's about, for all of them, it's about the same thing, about creating something that's uniquely yours with the team, sort of as in the case of the poetry one, with that as a lifting off point. So what they're gonna be talking about all season long in that problem is a quest, because that's what the challenge is about. It's like, what's our quest? What's the quest that we want to go on? And there's all sorts of limitations around it that get there. So I certainly have had folks that say, I only want to do it if I can do this problem. But what I tell them is, I'll take that into consideration, but it's right where I said it is. It's down at the bottom, because the experience is really not about what that problem is. It's the same for everybody.
Yeah, just to elaborate on it, this will be my 5th year going into this, and
Yes.
I mean that it is on the surface looks like, hey, this is the problem, this is what it's going to be, but it ends up being that a couple of things. Of course, what he said was perfect, but just to expound upon that, it's not just what the topic says. What it becomes is a problem-solving adventure. So it tests their mind. So a lot of times, if it's something that on the outset it's like, hey, this is not my area, it becomes something that's important to the kid because the kid will develop a skill in an area they previously thought that they weren't, so good at. And I've seen that over the years. Like, you'll have a team that, this team is not going to do good in performance. And it doesn't work out that way because it becomes a problem-solving endeavor more so than anything else. So if you look at it that way, yeah, it's important, I think, to pick the topic. And this is my favorite topic, but I think all in all it becomes an issue where the kid develops skills in new areas and it ultimately becomes a problem-solving, team-working event. So I don't know if that helps, but just something to think about.
And really all the problems have like the same components, meaning the needs to solve the problem. They're all kind of similar. So you'll see kids take leads on certain things. So maybe some children are very creative in creating ideas, and so they kind of take on that role. And some are better at like performance, so they take on that. Some are better like engineers, builders, so they kind of take on those roles. Everybody will help with all of it, but you'll see kind of leaders in those different elements come out in all of it.
Sorry, I'm just trying to revive this.
Trying to buy time, yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate
What would you
it.
like us to talk about?
You're looking out for me. I appreciate it. We're almost there.
It was one question with 4 answers. I mean, what do you?
I am incapable of doing 2 things at once. Literally incapable, which makes it a lot of fun for my teams. But try this one. This should be the application. Can you? Yes.
I've been doing OM for 3 years now, about to be 4.
Yep.
And for all the children in here that are new, it's actually really fun, but there's a lot of work. Like a lot of work.
It's true. It's the work, but the difference between this and a lot of the other things that your kids will do is because of the no outside of assistance rule, they take ownership over it. They don't just create, but it's their thing, and they are proud of it as their thing, an expression of them. And like I said, you don't have too many opportunities to do that. When you get into high school, you can drive, you have agency over all sorts of different things. But in middle school and in elementary school, you just don't have that as much, and this is an opportunity to have it. Yes, Diana?
If we still need a filler thing, something that the T always likes to use is Rhode Island is neither a road nor an island.
That's right. Good point. Good point. And Abby was saying yesterday, a pizza is in a square box, it's round, and it has triangular slices. So there you go. That fits right in with that. Yeah.
Okay, so our team has been like together for about like just like our team together for like about 2 years.
Yes.
And so they're since they were older than us now they're in Division 2 I think.
Yes.
Because they're in 6th grade.
Some of them. Yeah. Yeah. That's
some
right.
of them, and we kind of want to stay as a team. And we're in 5th grade. Is it allowed for the 5th graders to go into the middle school team, but that just means we'll have to compete against the middle schoolers?
So this is an excellent question. Long story short, we had a couple teams that carried over last year that really stuck together over 2 years, and for really different reasons, those teams are not going to look the same this year because some folks left, some folks moved on, like you're talking about, and the dynamics have just changed. So the short answer is no, but the longer answer is maybe. That's still not much longer. No, maybe. Yeah, it is longer. The longer answer is maybe. So the way that I'm not sure how many middle school kids I'm going to have. And we can have up to 7 kids on the team, but in order to put together a team, we really need 5. So if there are not 5 middle school kids who are definitely going to sign up and join, then I will look to our 5th graders to recruit kids to move up. So we wouldn't look at the entire team moving up because I know I'm going to have more middle schoolers than that. So we wouldn't be able to do that. But we would be, I've spoken to Ms. Jagman about this. I definitely think that's what we'll do is move some 5th graders up, and we will be looking for veteran 5th graders, all of my 5th graders are veterans actually, for the most part. Most of them are veterans. So yeah.
This is a quick comment.
Sure.
First year, like with Adam, what Abby said, it takes a lot of work, what she said. We once spent like 2 weeks trying to figure out how we can do baking soda without it exploding everywhere.
That's true, and that every year there's one problem that has to involve baking soda. And that year it was performance. This year it's vehicle that has to involve baking soda. So you have to utilize baking soda in some way. Yes, Sophia.
I have a comment.
Mm-hmm.
And it is that the thing called Odyssey, which is the thing you have to pay money for to register.
Mm-hmm.
They like call up teams and they call up teams and like place them like they could get 4. If they go to top 3, they get a medal. Well, top 1 through 1. They get a medal. Just like regular, like if you get 3, you get a bronze. Second, you get a silver, and first, you get a gold one. There's like 5 teams that make it to All-State. There could be like 2 teams that go into 2 teams from the same like whatever problem
Right.
going into this All-State. And then I think there's only one winner of All-State.
So here's I think I can fill in, and then you can let me know if I don't get anything. What Sophia's talking about is how teams move on to state. Each problem has a different number of teams that can move on to state. So sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 3. Sometimes it's even 4 or 5 one year. So it really depends on how many teams all across the state are competing on on that problem and how many slots they allocate to our region. So you might feel like, hey, we had 2 teams last year who won bronze in their division and did not move on. And matter of fact, the year before, we had another team in the same situation. So it is common that that can happen. And Sophia was on one of those teams last year, so she's just sharing the experience that she had. Abby was too. Yeah. Any other questions? Let me get parents first. Yes.
Looking at the scheduling section, like for intermediate, third through fifth, it says available Tuesday, Wednesdays, or Thursdays.
Or
Instead of
Thursdays.
moving target, like will it be changing?
It will be fixed as soon as I formulate my teams.
Okay,
So
okay.
it's really based on those coach decisions. It will be locked in. It's just not.
That was my
Yep.
question.
Yep.
Thanks, Coach.
Good question. Absolutely. Bye. Thank you. Give me a hug. Anyone else? Any other questions? You guys did great. I really appreciate it. Yes. You may give me a hug. Absolutely.